Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And day one here at the CDL Major 2 in Minnesota is concluded. Probably one of the quickest days we possibly could have asked for, all things considered. But certainly some very interesting results on the day with some crazy implications for what the rest of this tournament may well indeed look like. Very much intriguing your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. A beautiful main stage Rokkr kind of confirm before the day begins. I really like how kind of close range it is in a way. Like it's not like a massive main stage. It's kind of has a vibe of some of these old Call of Duty events with slightly smaller stages. The players are coming out a smaller little gap in the sides. Like there's more opportunity for trash talk right after the fact. Players get a bit closer to each other. Feels a bit more intimate, I guess, with the fans. But the venue thing looks absolutely fantastic. There's no doubt about it. When it fills up through the course of the weekend as well, it's going to get even better. Before the day kicks off, of course, Los Angeles Thieves are getting in action tomorrow. They play, of course, New York Subliners as it will be now. We'll talk about those matchups in a few minutes' time here. But yeah, Muddle confirmed the team is not going to be making any changes. They did talk a fair bit about what they might try and do, or even role changes or anything like that. They're still confident they can make it work with this team, but like they're going to have to make a significant run to prove to Major, I'm sure, and the team themselves, they can actually be a championship caliber squad. Because they said going into the year, their goal was to make championship Sunday every tourney. They haven't done it Major 1. They're probably not going to do it Major 2, but who knows what happens, of course, tomorrow when LATs finally get back in action. That was their pre-show they did. Of course, Paulx going into this series against FaZe, undefeated so far, 5-0, 2-0 with London, 3-0 with New York. Their hardpoint's been looking spectacular. We'll see how it fared up against FaZe when we look at that series in a few seconds' time. But firstly, we've got to talk about London versus the Florida Mutineers, because this is one of those classic series where Florida just decide to look like absolute monsters out of nowhere, to be honest. London, I think, didn't play anywhere near their best. I feel like every single map they had potential to win. Afro started off this game like this, and I was like, okay, this series is done and dusted. Afro's playing like this on land. It's over for the competition. But in fairness to Florida, they really came back to this map 1. London at one point had a pretty significant lead. It ends up being DevPaddy just taking over the game. They win at like 250 to 170. They do some great rotations. That is the thing with London's style. Like, yes, there was no Bakash in this series, but on Gavutu, it generally is an AR's haven, which it kind of makes sense when you look at Sky's Awakening and DevPaddy. Maybe a map to steer away from if you're going to play the Florida Mutineers. And if they do a great job rotating, that's kind of the thing with London's style, right? They generally try to break the hardpoint as opposed to rotating, which kind of cost them towards the end of this game. They go down 1-0, but then they're thinking, okay, no problem at all. We're in the search and destroy. Go up 4-0 in just a couple of minutes in this search and destroy. Gazuo at this point, I believe, is 7-0. He just clutched a 1 versus 2 to get them to 4-0. Even in this run, he had a pretty crazy snipe. But look at this situation, right? They're up 4-0. They've got a 4 versus 3 advantage. How do you imagine this game ends if you guys don't know the result? If you predicted 6-4 to Florida, you would be, well, probably very surprised, but also very correct. That's exactly what happens in this situation. Zero hits a nice shot, ends up going down. And when I saw this round play out, I was like, okay, this would be classic London to get it to 4-4. Wasn't really sure what the score would be after that. But like London a few times already this year, they even went up 5-0 versus Boston. It went to 5-3, got a little sketchy. Then they closed out the game. I did really feel like when it was 4-1 that the same thing might be brewing if Zero stops taking over. He ends the game, I think, 13-5. But Florida, to their credit, they start to make a comeback. Honestly, a complete collapse from London, to be honest. But look, a team that definitely has some mental resilience. I thought, okay, if they do go down 2-0, they can certainly bring a reverse sweep. They're going into a Gavutu control that they selected. That's not how it turns out. In fairness, the control, again, they had a good advantage here. Like, it's crazy. All 3 maps, they arguably coulda, woulda, shoulda, like, over this time of stuff. And they feel like after the fact, I'm pretty sure maybe Gizmo tweeted or Nasty tweeted it, that all of those maps were very much winnable. And the final game as well, they choked one of their defenses towards the end, if I remember correctly. And that leaves Florida to beat them on their kind of home map Gavutu control. They win the other maps as well. And out of nowhere, Mutineers with a 3-0. Not the start to the tournament I was expecting. Pickham's already most certainly up in the air. Well, honestly, London are going to have to go down to a sacked lower bracket. They play Paris. If they win that, they might well play Toronto in a rematch of what was winners round 2 last time around, I believe. So lots of questions to ask for London. Why did they come out flat this series? Why do they not look like a top 3 team? But sometimes Florida just do that. I don't understand it. Maybe they'll look great tomorrow against Boston. Maybe they certainly will not. It's no, it wouldn't be a real surprise if Florida get 3-0 by Boston tomorrow. It's just how it goes sometimes. You just don't want to be on the receiving ends when Florida are firing at all cylinders. Pickham's are chalked. DevPaddy was the dominant force this series, but in fairness, all the guys, the ARs especially, really came to play. If you look at the overall series stats here, most guys pretty much even. DevPaddy with a 1.34. Not too bad. We'll look at, well, method stats here in a second. They were having a good time on Twitter as a result. They're through to the winners bracket. Guaranteed top 6 this event. Is very good stuff, right? You win in winners round 1. Already you're guaranteed top 6 of the event. Let's talk about the second series. As Zero says, slow starts from us. Character building session begins, as they like to say, when they go down. But again, Los Angeles Guerrillas versus the Boston Breach. Thought this could be a pretty interesting series. There were some rumblings that something might be going on. We'll talk about the game 3 here in a second. seconds. But yeah, Spart, of course, subbing in for Gunless was never going to go all that well. I think that the rookies on Boston have developed a lot since their first couple of LAN events right at the start of the year, where there were some nerves, jitters, all this type of stuff coming into play. They go down map 1 pretty comfortably, to be honest. Methods must have got a buff or something, Slack says. Wonder what that could possibly have been. And this game 2 as well, Boston Breach closed out on the Berlin. It was a nice fight, really, from LAG. They put up a few decent rounds, but in the end of the day, like Methods with a nice little 2-piece right here. Just way more coordinated. Like, LAG were all over this place. Like, that's the thing. Asim had a pretty poor series here by his standards, as did Huke. When we look at the post-series stats here, you'll think, okay, wow, that's not really what we expected coming into this series. The SMG is not really showing up on LAG. They now find themselves in losers bracket. Impressed again by Boston, but it's tough to be that impressed with the team with a substitute. And this map 3 was honestly probably not an example of Boston's brilliance, but more just Los Angeles Guerrillas being absolutely terrible at control. It's very frustrating to watch. They're even like this with Gunless, to be fair. But anyway, Spart pulls out a Volk in this series. This is not in this map 3. This is not something we've seen so far. Like, I guess a Rampart V2, if you guys remember, CWL Fort Worth, where Classic pulled it out and Luminosity Gaming won the event that time, and Classic was having a phenomenal time with the Rampart. It then got gentleman's agreemented after the fact because people thought it was too strong. Who knows what the future is here with a Volk, but Spart was pulling it out to unbelievable success in the early part of this game. This was honestly pathetic from Los Angeles Guerrillas. They were up at this point, what is this, like 20-14 or something. Spart was like triple positive at this point, getting so many kills. All they need to do is close out this offense, actually go to the point and try and capture it. That probably would be a good idea. And then they just win this game. They're up 2-0. They're going to close out the rest of it. They lose this round somehow with only getting 1 tick on the points, which is not what you want really to try and get defense round 5. They do get it anyway, but they choke it away. They get defense round 5. Boston make a great break towards the end. Like, I don't really know how LG didn't close out this map, to be honest. Spart sitting there 39-25 with the Volk. So questions might well be raised about whether this gun is too strong. Like, maybe the GA Enforcer in Slasher or Accuracy over at the Seattle Surge side might have some word to say as to whether this gun should be allowed going forwards. But on the other side of things, Methods 36-22. So the Volk, an interesting weapon. I haven't really seen all that much use of it before. Both SMG players, especially Huke on this game 3, very much struggled at 22-35. The final series stats look something like this. Methods with a 1.61. How does this guy do it? It seems like he's become the new Dashy of Tuscan control. Gets crazy numbers on that, and that pushes his overall series stats to be absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, him with a 1.6. Like, Asim and Huke combined it with a 0.8. Not the greatest series from them. He definitely showed up and looked really good, so I'm happy for him. But at the same time, you have to think, okay, the Volk came into play. Will that last? Will other players start pulling it out? Like, is he going to get G8? I don't really think it should on just one map performance, but sometimes that's how it goes. There may well be more to discuss on that in the coming days. Let's talk about the New York versus FaZe series then. I thought this might be an interesting one. It ended up being a 3-0, but a very interesting 3-0, to be honest. It very much could have gone the other way. I still feel like New York here, with a couple of things going in their favour, they choked away or FaZe clutched up, depending on the way you look at it. Then, they could have actually won this series, or at least taken it the distance to a game 5, and who knows what happens at that point. Game 1 goes FaZe's way, not particularly close, to be honest. I think it was a Gru 2. FaZe's hardpoint so far has looked very good. So honestly, if New York had any chance of winning this series, they had to win the game 2 on Tuscan. A map and mode combination that certainly as of late FaZe have been somewhat sketchy on. At this point, Neptune's making some plays, ties this game up at 3-3, just getting kills all over the shop, and that helps them kind of come back into the game. Very much a back and forth affair. And it turns into a 4 versus 3 situation in favour of Subliners, or a 4-3 round count advantage, with Simp finding himself in a 1 versus 3. This is simply a round you cannot afford to lose. Simp, of course, stepping out a few days ago. Questions whether, how warmed up would he be for this series? How much practice have they got? He gets the kill off the bomb from Neptune, makes the flank right here. Crimsix isn't watching it, just effectively take to 50-50. Paulex gets gunned down. Crim has nothing to do in the 1 versus 3. Would he around them? Look, Simp played it perfectly, but nothing you can really afford to do there if you're New York Subliners. You can't be losing rounds like that. That ties the game up 4-4, goes around 11, and FaZe clutch up there again. So certainly to me, as of late, the thing that's been lacking most for FaZe is 1, their search and destroy, and 2, their kind of clutch factor, their ability to turn over kind of difficult engagements into positive ones, as OpTic have been so good so far this season. FaZe managed to do that here in the search and destroy, and they managed to do it again in the control. This was an unforgivable loss really for the New York Subliners. They won a fantastic offense early on. They should have closed out the final defense. Like some of the plays they made on that final game, throwing away lives, it really wasn't pretty to watch, and in the end they almost won it anyway, but it doesn't happen. FaZe end up taking the defense round 5. They win that round pretty comfortably. 3-2 to FaZe in the control, 3-0 for them in the series. Definitely not the most comfortable one in the world. I think they'll take that though, given a pretty strong New York Subliners team right now. New York certainly are going to feel like they should have won more maps than this, and at least made the series competitive. Neptune and Hydra had decent showings. Paulex with a pretty poor series by his standards. Cellium with another 1.36. I want an absolutely outrageous series then to finish off the day. OpTic versus Seattle Surge. The first round matchup that OpTic had last time as well. They play Seattle. they beat them 3-1. They lost the map 1 Bakaja, I believe they then won the next 3. This day was not the same story at all. OpTic getting locked in, ready to go, of course. Well, Scump warming up here on the Tuscan. They played Tuscan map 2, 3, and 4. They wouldn't even get to the game 4. Remarkable stuff. Back on the main stage, like, the green wall was there to some degree in Minnesota, but certainly there was support for either side of the stage, just for some good Call of Duty at the end of the day. And we certainly got that game 1 for Seattle Surge. Bakaja, honestly, they dominated this pretty much. Like, it was incredible the fact that they were putting together these rotations. Like, I'm getting so much time. OpTic seemed pretty frantic, kind of out of it, got heavily outslayed. All the guys on Seattle turned up. Mac had a fantastic series. aBeZy did his job. The rookies as well. Sib had a pretty slow start here. He turned it around, and Pred was an absolute monster. I was talking maybe earlier today or yesterday, the fact that the rookie ladder right now, I feel like Sib and Pred might be the most talented, but yet they haven't really shown it in terms of results to put them too much higher than some of the other ones on the ladder. They certainly did game 1, but this, of course, we saw this before. An OpTic a slow start. That's understandable. They lost Bakaja in this series last time. They went on to win the tourney. Game 2, though, of course, was massive. They needed to turn this run around. And it's got to be said that OpTic in these search and destroys, they were so solid in Major 1 at converting these advantages. This situation, for example, it's a Los Angeles Thieves versus Seattle Surge situation again. aBeZy just straight up hops on the bomb. Like, did OpTic not watch the VOD right over what aBeZy likes to do? He hops it, he gets the defuse. This was such a crucial round as the game went on as well. And the next round, he clutches a very nice 1v2. He guns Shotzi out the window. From this exact spot that Dashy is in right now, not really sure why Shotzi was challenging him, but I guess it is what it is. But, like, yeah, still definitely some mistakes from either side, but OpTic mainly, to be honest, that we did not see at all during stage 1, frankly, that have crept into their search and destroy game. Far off my deal. They then go down 2-0 after this incredible round for Mac right here. He gets the crazy gunfight. Shotzi or Scump gets taken down by Pred. Shotzi gets absolutely ultra gunned by Mac on this particular situation. He goes on to win the final gunfight as well. Close out this game 6-4. And of course, at that point, wow, down 2-0. But OpTic have done reverse sweeps before, right? It goes Tuscan. They're so good at Tuscan control and Tuscan hardpoint. And they reckon their Desert Sea Search and Destroy might be their best, right? Shotzi said that a few days ago. So I'm sure they're still feeling confident. Yes, they're down 2-0. It's not ideal. And of course, they have their 14 win streak in control to fall back on, right? But a lot of people were saying, hang on a second, look here, lads, we've got 3-0s all across the day. We've got a 3-0 for Florida, 3-0 for Boston, 3-0 for FaZe, and now it's 2-0 for Seattle. What's going to happen next? And Seattle played some phenomenal Call of Duty this final map. All the guys turned up. It was so back and forth. Round 1, it was a defense win that Seattle had. Then game 2, OpTic won a dominant defense. I thought, okay, once I saw OpTic's defense, I was like, okay, wow, yes, Dashy's back in business. He was already double positive at one point, like 16-8. I felt like, okay, he's going to end up closing out this game, or they won such a dominant defense. If they just won the game 4 defense, then they'd be in business going into round 5 in theory. But it's game 4, like, honestly, the slaying power from Seattle, that's the thing. When these guys turn up, they're absolutely out of control. They don't always do it, but, Seattle looking like back on form from the start of the year. And OpTic did not play anywhere near their best. They probably, to be honest, went into this series expecting it to be somewhat easier than it was. Of course, there's always the talk about, okay, don't want to get complacent, all this type of stuff, but they beat these guys before. I'm sure they're feeling very confident, but don't want to take anything away from Seattle. These guys played phenomenal. Pred's absolutely loving it. The crowd were enjoying some fantastic Call of Duty, but that puts us in an incredible situation. OpTic get 3-0'd the reigning champions in the very first round of the winners bracket. They go down to losers to play Minnesota Rokkr tomorrow. Of course, the tournament hosts, they're going to have the crowd behind them. Like, it's going to be crazy for them, right? Rokkr versus Minnesota, that first round of losers. Like, the crowd, it doesn't know who to support, I suppose. Pick'ems, I'm sure, are absolutely ultra chalked all across the board. Here are the final series stats. Dashy with a 1.15. Ilyu, he had a pretty tragic map 1, actually, 45-66 over the course of the series. But yeah, Sim and Pred, they were dominant here. Mac had his moments as well. So did aBeZy. Great performance from Seattle. They go on to play FaZe in the next round of winners. Of course, they've beaten FaZe as an organization the last 3 times they've played them. This tournament has already gone absolutely insane. We've got Los Angeles Thieves, New York already in lower, like a Toronto Ultra down there as well, London down there, and now OpTic joining the party. Definitely leave your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit in a like button. Tells you YouTube gods it's a good video, and as like you should see it as well. And I grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thanks for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.